What is the appropriate age for a child to be that you sit down and you talk about Martin Luther King and you talk about race relations? That's my question for you guys this morning. 1-855-BERT Show. Kristen?
It's so funny you bring this up because my good friend just sent a throwback video to us of her daughter who was 4. And she had learned about Martin Luther King Jr. in her class, and she was telling her mom what she had learned about equality and what Martin Luther King did at 4 years old, and it was so precious and it was beautiful.
Here's kind of the debate I was having with myself yesterday. So my fiance's 7-year-old, Eliza, lives with us about 50% of the time, and she was with us yesterday. And like I said, she's 7 years old, and she's got a whole beautiful mix of friends. She's got black friends. She's got white friends. She's got Latina friends. She's got Asian friends, right? So at 7 years old, I mean, this is it's such an innocent time. I mean, she's 7 years old. So I really had the thought yesterday because I really believe that if you have kids, they have to know why they have the day off. You know, all kids were all excited to have the day off yesterday, but how many of them really knew why? I mean, it's easier to have a conversation with somebody in high school or junior high school and sit them down and spend a couple of minutes, go online, have them do a little homework or whatever on Martin Luther King if they haven't already heard in school or been taught it in school. But when it comes to a 7-year-old, I was really at an odds. I was going to go to Tiffany and say, hey, how do you feel about us having a brief conversation with Eliza about who Martin Luther King is, why she has the day off today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Well, I couldn't have that conversation with Tiffany yesterday because she has COVID and it's way bad, so we never had it. But I thought it would be an interesting debate, or not debate, just more knowledge than anything else. I guess when you have kids, you're always sensitive to them being innocent and living in this beautiful time of innocence. But at what point do you have to start filling them in on some very ugly parts of our country and very ugly parts of race as well? So when is that age? 1-855-BERT Show.
For me personally, I don't know exactly when the age is where you would go deep into all of the things that have happened as far as the ugly parts in our country. But I feel like at her age, if it were me, I would personally just probably tell her about the good that Martin Luther King did and why we celebrate and honor his birthday and his achievements on that day. And I feel like as you get older and you inquire more about why we would celebrate Martin Luther King and why this day is necessary, at some point those things will come up.
It's hard to celebrate the positive that he did without talking about why, though. It's almost an impossible conversation, at least the one I was having in my head. Kristen?
Well, yeah, I mean, the video my friend sent of her 4-year-old, she was talking about the fact that, you know, black people and white people couldn't hang out in the same place, and black people weren't allowed to go to the places that white people were allowed to go. And it was, you know, Martin Luther King and civil rights that led to a world where black people and white people could be in the same place be in the same places. And of course she was saying stuff like, she goes, you know, restaurants, and then she goes, and ice cream, they should be able to eat ice cream together. But I mean, she understood that they, you know, the way our country was back then kept people separated because they treated them differently.
Yeah, my guess is I would have had like this in-depth 3-minute conversation with Eliza about it, and her response would have been, hey, do you want to play with some slime? That would have been it. So I didn't have the conversation with her yesterday. I really wanted to take some calls on this morning from both communities, because as I sat here, I didn't know how it could be a short conversation, yet sort of, I don't know, maybe through her 7-year-old mind, I just felt like the education coming from me would have been weird at
There's
this
books.
age.
I mean, I know there's children's books for sure. I mean, we have one for Jimmy about black leaders. So I think there's there are tools out there to enlighten kids and to educate kids, because these are important lessons and they need to be taught. You don't have to get into the nitty gritty. I think that comes later, like in middle school and high school. But to understand the gist of it, I think at any age is good.
Well, if you don't mind reaching out on our Facebook page, that'd be awesome. I take calls this morning, but apparently we're having problems with the phone. So if you want to hit us up on our Facebook page, that would be really awesome. So I can learn from that and do it right next year.
The Bert Show.